Okay, so now I'm going to show you how to drill some holes. This is a scrap piece of metal, and I'm going to put holes every 1/2 inch right in the center of this. So I've already gone ahead and did my edge finding. So now I'm using the corner of this vise, and I took my 1, 2, 3 block and lined up the part to it. So now I'm ready to go. So I already have my drill chuck in place. Whenever we use drills or center drills or the edge finder, we use the drill chuck, and to tighten it, you're going to turn it that way. This is a center drill. They're short and stubby, and they're used to put just a little tiny hole in the part, just a divot, and that will keep the drill from walking. So when you go to put a hole in there, because these are so long, they're actually flexible. Sometimes it will move around a little bit and your hole will not be where you want it to be. Because these are so stubby, they don't walk nearly as much and you can get a much more precise hole. Starting hole. So I'm going to put this in the drill chuck like that. And you can't really see it, but you want to make sure that it's touching all 3 of those jaws. If you need to, get down there and look. So I'm going to hold the brake and tighten that. And then I'm going to move my y-axis, this direction, to 0.5 because this part is 1 inch. Focus, there we go. So 1/2 inch there, and we always start our stuff on a 1/2 inch this way also. Unlock the quill. Let's make sure I have enough travel to get down there. There we go. So normally you wouldn't want this much of the quill exposed, but I don't want to be moving the table up and down because the camera is sitting right where the z-axis adjustment is. So it's going to sit right there. So when you do this, you want to do what's called Peck drilling. So we're going to bring it down to the surface and just ever so gently touch it and pull it back up and touch it and pull it back up. You don't need to pull it all the way up. Just let off some pressure and let it rise just a little bit. It's hard to see. Let me zoom in there. It's hard to see, but you're just going to let it move a little bit at a time, and that'll be easier to see with the real drill bit in place. Turn on the machine and just peck drill just a little bit. Now you can see there's a little tiny divot there. I'll make that a little bit bigger, and that is all we need. Now I can move it to our next position, which is 1 inch. And go ahead and do that again. Just bring it down and touch it lightly and let off the pressure. And that's all we need. There we go. Now I'm going to do 4 holes in this part in total, but I'm going to leave the 4th one to just the drill bit so we can see if it walks around a little bit. So let me take this tool out. I'm going to push the brake and pull this out. Now the speed I was running this at was 1200 RPM, and that's about right for something this small. So I put this down somewhere else. I can put my drill bit in. This drill bit is a common size for us. This is, ooh, if it'll focus. This is a 0.1, there we go. This is a 0.159 drill bit. This is how I measure them. I think this is the correct way, but however you were taught is fine. Let's go ahead and put that in there. And when you place the drill bit in the tool holder, there are flutes on here. We want to make sure that just a little bit of the flute is exposed, so we're going to grab it right about there. If you grab it too much, you can damage the flutes and the drill bit. And if you only grab it by the tip, it'll move all over the place even more. So make sure that's nice and tight. So now I'm going to turn this on, and I'm going to do that peck drill in again. So I'm going to bring it down slowly, and you can kind of see that the drill bit is wobbling there, just a little bit. So I'm going to bring it down and touch it, and then just let off the pressure a little bit, and you'll see whenever I let off the pressure, the chips break free, and that's what we want. If you keep going, the chips get really long like that, and that's no good. We don't want that. So they get stuck on there. So I'm going to go through all the way through the second part. Let me get a better angle and show you. There we go. That's a better angle. So I've already drilled the first hole. I'm going to bring this all the way down to the other surface and do that same peck drilling. So I drill a little bit and I back it off. Do that same peck drilling. So I go a little bit at a time. And there we go. That's all the way through the hole. Now I can pull it all the way up and move on to the second hole. There we go. Now with a drill bit this short, you don't want to go too far because you'll hit the. You don't want to go too far because you'll hit the tool holder on the part, and that's no good. Okay, so I moved the angle so you can see what the quill handle is doing while peck drilling. I've already started this hole a little bit. I'm going to bring it down and touch it and just let off pressure. I'm not pushing very hard, and I'm not lifting it all the way up. I'm just releasing the pressure as I go. And there we go. It's all the way through. There we go. So I've moved the camera again, and I want to see if we can watch the tool walk a little bit. So it's very hard to notice, but you can kind of tell that the tool is not sitting in the center of that hole now, which means it kind of brushes the side a little bit, which means when it was going into the material, it moved to the side a little bit and started going down at an angle. And that's what we use the center drill for instead. Now I had the speed set to about 1200 RPM, and that was for this little guy, this 159. Now if I wanted to use something like this, which it's a 1330 seconds someone wrote on here, this is a much bigger drill comparatively, and we can't run it at the same speed. We're gonna have to turn it down a little bit, probably closer to 900 or 850. There is a drill chart somewhere on the wall that tells you what speed everything needs to be running at, but just be aware of that. Not all drill bits can be run at the same spindle speed. Some of them have to be slowed down. And just like the spindle speed, when we move the quill with a larger drill bit, you're going to be taking off a little bit more material at a time just because of how much more cutting surface there is. So again, you have to do that a little bit slower as well.